For Israelis living in the north, life remains on hold. Over the past year, relentless rocket attacks have ravaged communities, leaving homes in border communities like Metula severely damaged or destroyed. And despite the lack of widespread media attention, Jewish National Fund USA has been on the ground since day one, not just helping to rebuild, but also developing an ambitious plan to reimagine the entire region's future. Joining me now in the studio is Chicago-based philanthropist and Jewish National Fund USA National Board member Deb Zaluda, who has been working closely with northern communities to assess their immediate needs and envision a path forward. Deb, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to sort of take a step back before the events of October 7th. You know, Jewish National Fund USA was already deeply involved in developing Israel's north. Can you share with us maybe some of the key initiatives that were underway?
So in continuing today, but before October 7th, we were doing a lot of work in all over the north, in the Western Galilee and the Upper Eastern Galilee. In the Upper Eastern Galilee, we were building the Galilee Culinary Institute, designed to be a world-class culinary institute, bringing people from all over the world to learn all elements of the culinary arts. We were building a medical center in Kiryat Shmona because there was a lack of services in that area. We were working in the startup arena and working with Margalit Startup City in bringing young, fresh startups, mostly in agritourism, agri-tech, food tech, to the center there. In the Western Galilee, we were working with Western Galilee Now, which is a small NGO which has grown substantially since they started working with us in JNF. And they work with entrepreneurs, mostly in the area of tourism in the Western Galilee. And we also work with the Louder Employment Center, which operates both in the north and in the south, but in the north, seeking to develop employment opportunities, because one of the biggest barriers to entry is lack of employment. And the goal for JNF is to ultimately grow the population of the north significantly. And through all of those initiatives, we are hoping that the population will grow.
So a lot of initiatives pre-October 7th. And, you know, I understand that now the Jewish National Fund USA has recently launched a new initiative called Reimagine. So could you maybe walk us through the vision behind this plan and what it aims to achieve now for Israel's north?
So some of the goals remain the same. And the goals of bringing population to the north remains the same. Doing that through economic development, that remains the same. But the problem, of course, is what's happening in the north. And since basically October 7th, October 8th, when Hezbollah started playing their games with us, 100,000 people have been displaced from their homes. And it's tragic. And we don't really know when those people will come back. I don't want to say if, I want to say when. And I just read an article yesterday in Ynet. I was fumbling through in the Hebrew. And it was focused on 9 high school age students. And it was talking about their hardships. And one young lady dropped out of school, and someone else, you know, has to go to school not where they are from. They live in Kiryat Shmona. They were evacuated from their home. And they all talked about the difficulties, and their parents aren't working, and maybe, you know, a parent is no longer in the house because of the difficulties. But they all said they want to go back. And so that's the starting point. The starting point is that there's still a large number of people that want to go back. And so at JNF, we thought to ourselves, well, how are we going to get those people back? And we started assessing what was the life like before October 7th, and how have things changed. And when we looked at what life was like before October 7th, we realized that there were a lot of communities, and they all live in silos. They work in silos, and they don't talk to each other. So one of the things that we've done successfully in the South, and now we're bringing to the North, is to say, you know what? We can't operate that way anymore. We have to bring people together. We need to understand what the needs are, not of the individual communities. Yes, we need to know what the needs of the individual communities are, but we also need to know how each of those communities can leverage one another. And it's that idea of leverage. In the plan, we talk about a hub and spoke system. Mm-hmm. I kind of look at it as just how these communities can work together and really understand what each of them needs and then leverage one another.
And you know, JNF-USA is also known for connecting people to Israel. And you know, you've already brought, I think, nearly 4,000 people on volunteer missions. And I understand that you're also hosting a major event now in the U.S. in November, a global conference for Israel. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So our conference in Dallas, November 14th to 17th, of which I'm one of the national co-chairs, we are looking to bring close to 2,000 people together. And not just 2,000 people, but 2,000 committed Zionists. And in this day and age, to have that many people in the space together cannot be more important, especially what's happening in America with anti-Semitism. So bringing people together that are all focused on a love of Israel is incredibly important.
Absolutely. Well, Deb, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today and for your important work in Israel's north.
Thank you.